It's time all of Canada really embraced the maxim that adults should not be using their anxieties and fears about COVID-19 to hold our youth hostage. This is one of the things that has frustrated me the most about the response to COVID for a number of provinces in Canada. Ontario has been particularly bad about it when it comes to not putting our kids first. And there's a number of examples that still continue. I mean, for a lot of people, the summer's actually been pretty good. There haven't been that many restrictions. You've been out and about. Many provinces dropped their mask mandates for months, actually. People got to feel free from those masks. They got to go about their business and hang out with friends and family, do all of the activities they love. Great news. Now, as the fall returns, a lot of people anxious about what that means for coronavirus. Okay, fine. Adults are going to make their choices. They're going to deal with these issues, the news headlines, however they got to deal with it. Do what you got to do. But here's the thing. Please leave our kids alone. What do I mean by that? I'm going to give you two examples, and these are examples basically comparing how the United Kingdom does things to how some jurisdictions in Canada does it. Now, it's different province by province. BC has actually largely been the leader in terms of letting children live their lives in previous waves and so forth, keeping schools open and kids not wearing masks. In Ontario, schools coming back in the fall, kids all have to be masked indoors, even the kindergartners. Very frustrating. A lot of parents writing to me saying they're really upset about that. I mean, the small children. Whereas in the United Kingdom, I'm just giving one example. There are other countries that have similar policies. They say for the whole country, masks in schools, kids, educators, staff members, they don't need to wear them. You're not doing it. It's not happening. And I really wish Ontario and some other provinces in Canada, which persist in an information silo, and that they only really know and consume news that comes from within their own province. They only hear from doctors and epidemiologists who are sort of on the same page with their province's approach, and they're not actually broadening their horizons and seeing what's going on in other parts of the world. And those parts of Canada, which actually have very sort of anti-child policies, I don't know what else to call them, those policies really restrictive on kids, that's actually the outlier. That's not the norm for the Western world. More people have to know that example. Another example is when it comes to vaccines and vaccines for children and vaccines for young people. I can tell you in Ontario, there's a large appetite among many people to say, we just got to approve these vaccines for small children, not just the teens. It's currently approved for 12 to 17-year-olds, but for the small children. You go, hold on a second. I mean, this is the job of experts to figure out whether or not the risk-benefit analysis actually says that this is something that should be done. Why are we pushing for all of this? Whatever your perspective on adult vaccines, and clearly most adults in Canada are okay with them because the vast majority of Canadians have, in fact, been vaccinated, the vast majority of adults in those older cohorts. Whatever you think about the adult conversation, I mean, in the UK, they actually recently redetermined that they're not going to be making vaccines available even to younger teenagers. To 16 and 17-year-olds, yes, they're making it available, but under 16, they're not. So there's an interesting disconnect here. When we talk about vaccine passports, for example, in BC, this is one example where BC does not have a child-friendly policy. BC and Ontario, their vaccine passports actually apply to people 12 and over, anybody who is eligible to be vaccinated. So we've got this situation where in the UK, they're saying we're not even making the vaccines available to 13-year-olds. There are exceptions. There are certain underlying conditions where they will vaccinate the 12 and 13-year-olds. But by and large, it is not available to them there. Whereas in Ontario and some other provinces, a 13-year-old can be banned from having access to certain facilities if they don't have 2 doses of this vaccine that they can't even get in the UK. I mean, at the very least, one would think we can moderate the vaccine passports to make the teenagers, the under 18s, exempt from all of that. Whatever your position on the vaccine passports in general is, surely any reasonable person would agree, why can't we exempt those younger people, the people under the age of 18? There you go, just 2 examples of how I feel we've really got to do a better job of putting our youth first. The persons who are at lowest risk of having a serious outcome of COVID-19, but I think in many senses at highest risk of suffering poor consequences from lockdowns and, well, yes, as the reports say, from vaccine side effects and so forth. I mean, just let the kids live. Adults, things to be concerned about for sure. Older, high-risk adults, lots of concerns. I appreciate why people have those concerns, but please, we gotta leave the kids out of it.